All right, so sugars versus artificial sweeteners. So most artificial sweeteners are also called non-nutritive sweeteners, are created from chemicals in a lab. So a few are made from natural substances like herbs such as stevia or monk fruit. But these artificial sweeteners are typically much, much, much sweeter than normal table sugar, usually 200 to 700 times more sweeter than that white table sugar. Artificial sweeteners don't usually contain calories or sugar, but they also don't have any nutritional benefit like fruit does, right? They don't have those vitamins, fiber, minerals, antioxidants. They are regulated by the FDA as food additives. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's acceptable to consume them in large amounts, right? Some experts believe that artificial sweeteners compose those health hazards from weight gain to cancer to diabetes, etc. But research on this is very ongoing. Past studies have mainly been done on animals, not humans. And people have shown that these products are generally safe if they're not consumed right in super excess amounts. If they're taking in the serving size into account and just going by that day by day, not consuming excessive amounts of these artificial sweeteners. So sugar alcohols is another type of sugar that we're going to discuss today. Similar to those artificial sweeteners that we just talked about, sugar alcohols are created synthetically, right? So typically from chemicals in a lab. Sugar alcohols are used in many processed foods. So many of those labels where you see less sugar added or low sugar, that is going to be coming from sugar alcohols. They're not as sweet as artificial sweeteners, and they add kind of a little bit of a texture, like a film, to a taste like foods like chewing gum or hard candies, yogurts, things like that. And they can cause quite a bit of gastrointestinal irritation for many individuals, like bloating, gas, diarrhea, things like that. So here to the right of the screen, I just added an example of a less sugar yogurt that you're going to see in tons and tons of grocery stores, right? Usually they're flavored. Sometimes they have like a fruit puree at the bottom. Most of the time it's not really just fruit. It's a lot of added sugar alcohols. So as you can see here, the nutrition label is going to be on the back, but the front is going to say less sugar yogurt, low sugar yogurt. It's going to really kind of draw you in, making you think that this product is going to be healthier for you, right? Even reading the nutrition label, you're going to come down here to see total sugars as 1 gram, right? Not bad. You're going to say, okay, it only has 1 gram of sugar. Whereas if you go down just a little bit, it's going to tell you that it has 11 grams of sugar alcohol, which again, this isn't going to kill you, right? But it's just something to be aware of because these sugar alcohols can cause a lot of stomach irritation, bloating, gas, things like that. So it's just something to kind of keep an eye out for when products say less sugar or low sugar. So novel sweeteners, these are going to be the more natural sweeteners. So things that are made from herbs like stevia, monk fruit. They're going to be plant derived. Again, they're non-caloric, but they also don't have any much nutritional benefit like the fruit will. It's not a significant source of calories or sugar, so it typically won't lead to weight gain or blood sugar spikes if you're consuming it within the serving size, again, not excessive amounts. They also typically provide less processed and more similar natural sources compared to artificial sweeteners. So again, should you remove sugar entirely from your diet? No, absolutely not. Removing all sugar from your diet means you might miss out on those super important nutrients found in fruits, whole grains, dairy products, even things like honey. Diets that cut out carbohydrates and sugars, such as the ketogenic diet that we touched on earlier, right? It can be extremely harmful to your health. Without sugar, without those carbohydrates, our bodies kind of have to find an alternative source of energy, right? What are we going to use to give our body energy? So they use ketone bodies, and these are substances produced by the liver for fuel. This is basically our body going into fight or flight mode. We can't use carbs, we can't use sugar, so what are we going to use? We're going to go to the liver. This is pretty much telling our body that we're going into starvation mode. and you will notice that things are going to start to shut down. People call this stage the keto flu. It can lead to severe headaches, fatigue, that brain fog, super low energy, weakness, nausea. So just keeping that in mind, not eliminating all sugars, especially things like fruit, quality dairy products, whole grains, is not necessarily a good idea for your overall health. So sweet ways to stay healthy, right? We talked about those sugars that we need, sugars that are super, super good for us, like fruits, whole grains, dairy, and sugars that we need to kind of limit, keep an eye out for. So if you absolutely must use a sweetener, you really, really like your fruits or your foods super sweet, consider a sugar substitute, right? So some of those plant-based derived sweeteners like stevia, or even try a mixture of a little bit of white table sugar mixed with stevia and slowly start to convert. So making sure that you're loading up on whole foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grain, dairy products, lean proteins, seafood, nuts and seeds. That's going to really, really help kind of sustain your energy throughout the day, not making you crave as much as those artificial sweet foods. Try as much as you can to limit those extremely processed, ultra processed sugary foods like soda, energy drinks, sweet teas, fruit juices. And one of my favorite ways is to actually use fruit as a sweetener, right? So in smoothies, I will add either dates or a banana to really make it sweeter. Even in oatmeal, add a mashed banana, add some dates, kind of blend it in. There's a lot of different ways to make kind of these bland foods much sweeter using these natural things like fruit. Even a lot of times you can mash up some raspberries and strawberries and use that as a jam. And yeah, there's a lot of different recipes kind of if you go online and search fruit-based sweeteners, and it'll guide you that way. So the bottom line, everything in moderation, right? I'm never going to tell one of my clients that they can't eat this and they can't eat this and this is good and this is bad. Everything in moderation. Nothing is off limits. Artificial sweeteners and sugar substitutes can help with weight management, but they aren't the end-all be-all magic bullet, and they should only be used in moderation. Food marketed as sugar-free, lower sugar, less sugar, isn't necessarily calorie-free, so it can still cause weight gain. It can still cause you to overeat on calories. And typically it's going to cause you to overeat on calories, right? It's going to take up that less amount of space in your stomach compared to as if you were just eating the regular whole fruit. So keep in mind that processed foods, which often contain sugar substitutes, generally do not offer the same health benefits like those nutrients, vitamins, minerals, fiber that fruit and veggies will. So again, moderation is key. If you like white table sugar in your coffee, use it in moderation. If you prefer stevia, use it in moderation. So just about kind of keeping that in mind. And lastly, your take action item for this week is to swap a store-bought sugary drink. So whether it's a fruit juice or a store-bought smoothie like the Naked brand, right? Swap those with a homemade one. So go ahead and make your own smoothie at home using all your fruit, your natural ingredients from your own home, or 100% squeeze juice, right? So instead of buying a gallon of sugary orange juice at the grocery store, try and go ahead and squeeze your own orange juice. Try that out. See how that works for you. If not, I put this label over here to the right. This is a cranberry juice at the store compared to a 100% juice cranberry juice. So again, it's a very little difference in the labels, but it's something to just kind of keep an eye out for. So this one on the left is 100% juice. The only ingredient should say cranberry juice, right? Nothing else. This one on the right is going to have sugar added. It's going to have maybe a gum added, tons of sugar alcohols. So again, if you're at the store, look out for these 100% juice labels and try and go for those more than just the generic brand. Secondly, another little take action item if you want to try is use a fruit as a sweetener one time this week. So like I was saying, either mash a banana in your oatmeal, mash some raspberries and strawberries as jam. Instead of buying the fruit puree in your yogurt. Maybe add some just plain fruit in your yogurt. You can even try out banana ice cream. So blending up some frozen bananas, adding some cocoa powder or raw peanut butter could be a really good alternative to processed ice cream or processed dairy products. So I'm just gonna go through the slides one last time for our sugar shakedown week 4 meeting. We talked about what sugar is, how it's broken down, the 2 different types. Sugar is basically just another form of a sweet carbohydrate. There's a ton of different classes of sugars, whether it's glucose, fructose, lactose, maltose, and it's all about using it in moderation, how our body reacts to it, trying as much as we can to get in those natural forms of sugars in comparison to those artificial sugars. We talked about how much sugar is too much. Women should try and keep it around 6 teaspoons a day, whereas men should try and keep it around 9 teaspoons per day, keeping that in mind. Sugar is not inherently bad for you. Again, it's just about where we get it from. Our bodies process that glucose. It goes into the bloodstream and we use it for fuel and energy. We need those carbs, right? It's not bad for us. It's not a inheritance on our weight gain. We definitely need the good sugars like fruits, dairy products, and whole grains. Again, sugar and fruit is not a concern. You're not going to overeat on fruit and get that excess fructose. You would much rather get your sweet craving through fruit rather than through a candy bar, ice cream, soda, etc. Your body needs those fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. Consider your sources again, added sugar versus natural sugars, artificial sweeteners, keeping those in moderation, watching the serving sizes, making sure you're only using those. Sugar alcohols, watching out for those less sugar, lower sugar food products. Again, making sure you're reading the labels. Even if it says total sugar is 1 gram, look at those sugar alcohols. Keep an eye out for that. Looking for the plant-based sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit could be another option for you. Again, you don't need to remove sugar in order to have a healthy lifestyle or lose weight or anything like that. You should definitely keep the natural sugars in your diet, like fruit, dairy, and whole grains. Absolutely. You don't want to go into that keto flu. It can have a lot of negative health benefits, especially if you're an already healthy individual. Sweet ways to stay healthy, swapping those added artificial sweeteners for things like fruit and dates could be a really good option. And then the bottom line, everything in moderation. Try out our take action items this week if you can, making sure you're looking for those 100% squeezed juices, whether it's cranberry, orange, pineapple, whatever kind of juice you're looking for. It should be 1 ingredient only. Looking for no sugar added on labels, or using a fruit as a sweetener 1 time this week, whether it's in ice cream, oatmeal, on toast, as a jam, in your yogurt, or anything else. So does anybody have any questions before we end off today? Are sugar alcohols digested slowly? They're not necessarily digested slowly, but your body will, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm trying to